Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. My name is Sarathane, and every episode I bring on a comic from the Central Time Zone, and eventually I'll branch out to more time zones. But for this interview, I'm bringing on a comic from Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Amy Sumpter. Hey, Amy, how are you?
Oh, hello. I'm so well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you for being my guest today on the show. It means a lot to me.
Awesome. Yeah, it means a lot to me that you want to talk to me. So thank you.
You're welcome, indeed. Awesome. So you've been a stand-up comic for over 20 years, with like performance experience. What was those 20 years like? Your
Well,
favorite memories?
I honestly started like in school plays. So middle school, I like auditioned for a play and I got it. And it was like in high school I kind of realized that I was a character actress. Every person wants to be the leading lady or whatever. And I was talking to somebody once and they were like, I want to be like a famous extra. Like I want to be, the person that nobody can put their, like, I know this person, but I don't know how I know this person. So then I kind of grabbed onto that and I was waiting tables and people always told me I was funny. And so when I first moved to the city, I originally got into comedy, like, Second City classes, doing that sort of thing. But then my comedy partner, who I was doing sketch with, Kelsey Huff, was like, I want to do stand up. And it scared the crap out of me. But I realized that it really, like if something really scares me or intimidates me, I know I have to do it. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I've been doing stand up specifically for like almost 14 years, comedy for like 20, but then performing for like 25. So that's like, oh, I just felt that weight of all that time, like, yeah. So like, I still love acting. I still love, I've done like voices on some podcasts that are sort of like a radio show. I've done some web series, but like nothing beats getting on a stage in front of a bunch of people and making everybody laugh. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And I miss it a lot right now. So thank you.
You're welcome. I miss it a lot too. Well, the bars and venues are still open in Florida because they're crazy like that, and so it's like, but I'm like not taking my chances. It's just too scary at the moment.
That's how I feel. And even if everybody gets a different microphone, and even when it's outside, just like there's so many people who are asymptomatic. So, and also like asthma runs in my family, and like people get really bad. I've had a sinus infection since November, and I finally feel better, but I know it's still there. And sometimes they turn into bronchitis. So I'm just like, I don't want to chance it. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I miss being in a dirty venue, like at the back, like, drinking whatever you're drinking and just laughing and, writing in your notebook, your set or like new ideas or just meeting new comics and even just talking to the audience. Like there's so many things that I just miss. And then even, that either the ride home or, like giving another comic a ride home and you're just talking about the show and you're talking about like maybe the audience wasn't feeling you, or maybe it was like a fantastic audience, or maybe you just like, you felt even though everybody was digging you. Like it just, I miss those conversations and like the nitpicky, like what could I have done better? What can I have, like, what do I need to change? Like, okay, I probably should write that 10 minutes of clean material because the audience obviously did not like my dick jokes. You know what I mean? So, also like, it's okay to swear. Like, no, don't swear. I totally forgot to ask you. I'm so sorry. It's okay to drop bombs or no? I'm like, okay.
Yes, you can. I'm not too strict on this whole thing. Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
And I totally understand. Most definitely. And so I feel the same way. It's like all those little things add up to so much, and it's like you never know what you got till it's gone, and that's just true of what they say. It's like, man, stand up used to be so much fun until all this thing hits. So,
amen. Yes,
indeed, most definitely. So you performed all over the Midwest, and what are some of your favorite venues that you performed all over the Midwest?
I have done well in Chicago. I run a show called The Kates, and we actually perform it in a bookstore. And it's really jarring for a lot of the comics because we're literally in front of their old magazine rack that now is not a magazine rack anymore because, who buys magazines? but there's no microphone. The lights are on. You can see every single person. Sometimes people are coming and going. And because of that show, it did gear me up for like anything could happen during a show. So even though a good night when we like when we fill the bookseller up, it's like 65 people. But I love the bookseller, love it. But then obviously I love, the Lincoln Lodge is a great venue. I love, I went out to Des Moines and I did a show out there. I can't remember the name of the venue and I feel awful because I love Des Moines. I just love that city so much. And then I've even got up to Kenosha and we did like in the front of the house, there was like a big, almost like a craft fair going on. And then there was like a back room where there was comedy. And that was the most welcoming, warm crowd. And just like, I love those gigs that are not necessarily in a comedy venue. Sometimes just like when they're in like the back. Obviously, I prefer it when it's away from a bar where there's like a surprise show, because we've all done that surprise show where everybody gets mad at you and, they want to watch the game. But I love those venues that you really wouldn't think that a comedy show would be going on at. And then everybody just digs it. And that's one thing I love about Chicago comedy is it's that we're putting on a show vibe. And, even if it's a bookstore or if it's a comic book store or like how Lincoln Lodge started, in the back of a restaurant, we could put on a show. It's that can-do attitude that I just really love.
Indeed, most definitely. And having it at a bookstore reminds me of at a venue I performed at called the Mutiny Information Cafe in Denver. And it's just the same way with like the whole, books behind you and all that stuff. But I totally bombed there. It was just, it was like the longest 5 minutes of my life.
Those are the worst. But at the same time, like, it's funny because that crowd is very forgiving. Like at our bookstore, they're very polite. But it's funny because when you've bombed, like they don't boo you, they don't heckle you, and almost that crushing silence is worse because it's like, man, at least when you're getting booed or heckled, it's like, yeah, I know. But then when it's just silent, you're like, oh god. So yeah, I feel you. I've done some, but at the same time, they've allowed me to fail, and then I've been like, okay, I need to do better. But oh man, but also it's kind of fun because sometimes you can do jokes there that probably wouldn't fly at, and also because it is open to the public, like it is very like PG-13 a little bit, but you got to be clever with how you talk about it. And I'm the daughter of a truck driver. I can drop F-bombs left and right. And when I'm really nervous, I swear. And that, like, it helped me break that habit of, okay, don't get me wrong, like dropping an F-bomb, that's perfect point of your set. I disagree with people who are like, you shouldn't have to swear. No, sometimes like hearing a swear when you don't think it's coming is like the funniest thing ever. But when you can't swear, then coming up with ways of, articulating certain things or, moments in your life, it did make me, it sounds so cliche, but it did make me a better performer. Cause I was like, okay, like I can't be raw dog blue right now. I have to like, there's a children's section and a bunch of kids just walked in, and it's kind of funny watching the other comics like, oh God, a bunch of kids. And it's like, yeah, now you have to get creative with how you say stuff. And it's a learning experience for sure.
Most definitely, indeed. And so you were on the 9th season of Last Comic Standing. And what was that experience like?
It was amazing, but it was also a little bit soul crushing because they didn't air my set, which was devastating. But I think honestly, like it gave me my biggest advice to comics or anybody who's got a dream, like they want to be seen by people. Like they didn't show me on TV. Like I literally was in the corner of a screen, like literally you blink and you miss me. Like some of my friends caught it, like took pictures in front of it. Like it was really cute. But I wish if I could go back in time and redo it, I wouldn't change anything. I was proud of my set. Like my best friend was in the audience, my cousin, like two people who have seen me perform multiple times. And they were like, you killed it. You did a great job. And I felt like I did a good job. but I was so nervous that I didn't enjoy, myself. Like, I loved talking to the other comics and I loved like finding out what other people had done. But one of the things I really took away from that experience was I was performing with people who legit were professional comics. Like, they didn't have day jobs anymore. I still have a day job. Like, some of these people, because they had given us like blackout dates, like you have to be available, had turned down gigs where they could have gotten paid $3,000. Like, another comic had been published in the New Yorker and his stuff wasn't shown. The woman who like turned down the gig, her set wasn't shown. And these were very talented people. So at first I was like, oh God, I wasn't good enough. Like, it really was a mind fuck, for lack of a better word. But when I realized that I was with people who I see regularly on television, who, again, they're professionals. So it's like, I was good enough to be on the same stage as them. So like, but like, I won't lie, it was hard for me to get to this point of like for a long time, I wouldn't tell people that I was on it. And now I'm like, I'm going to be proud of that. Like, they chose 100 comics. I was one of those hundreds. No, they did not air my stuff. And that was like heart wrenching, but I made it, and that's a dream for a lot of people. And I made it. So, yeah, like, but I would just say, like, if you ever get the possibility of being on a reality show, it's a reality show. So keep that in mind, but also, or a competition, again, it's a competition, but just have fun, like meet people, make friends. Cause you never know who you're going to meet, who's going to remember you. And I remember years ago when I first moved to the city, I auditioned for this Chipotle commercial that was going to be like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like a sure thing. I was like, you're going to do it. And then like the money fell through and it didn't happen. Wah, wah, wah. And then 5 years later, that same director called me up and was like, I loved your energy. I need you for another thing. And it was like a local commercial, but that man remembered me. So, and it was 5 years. So I feel like, especially with comics, like so many of us are just, we're doing those real crappy shows. Sometimes we're just getting paid and drink tickets and, food, but it's like, you never know who's going to see you, and you never know on the road, like, who you're going to meet. Like I've performed at the Drop in South Bend, Indiana. It's amazing there and I love it. And those guys are so warm. And the same thing, like South Bend is just like a warm, welcoming town. And they love comedy. They love performance. Like, my band has played in South Bend and they've been so wonderful to us. And, there's someone like, Amy, you want to come and do the show? And like, before I recorded my album, like, I actually was there for that weekend doing 3 shows. And that's what helped me like rehearse for my show. So it's like, no show is ever in vain. Like, I remember talking to another comic about this, but it's, you gotta, even if it doesn't go the way you wanted it to go, like last comic for me, like, again, I performed with people who I see on TV on the regular, like people who are professional comics. And I was like, I got to perform at the big leagues, and like, no one can ever take that away from me. Like, you didn't air my stuff. That was very sad, but I don't know. And especially, let's be real, like I'm like the stereotypical comic, like I have crushing depression, crushing self-doubt on the regular. But that's something that, like, when I'm in the depths of those like dark places, I can be like, I had a moment and it was amazing. And that means something, and even if you don't have that moment to hold on to, like, you're still doing it. You're still alive. You're still fighting. So you just have to like, yeah, it's so cheesy, but I know I'm rambling right now. I'm so sorry. But yeah, like you just got to keep doing it, keep doing it.
Absolutely. And it's okay to keep rambling, because that's what I love, is like having all the meat on the bones and part of the, and you're a podcaster too, which is, your podcast is called Shaped, and it's in the description box below. So follow them and rate them and listen to them on iTunes and all that good stuff. Yes. And wherever you find your podcast. But how did you get involved with Shaped?
Well, me and Kelsey Huff, my partner in crime, she and I we met at Second City. We were both at the conservatory, and she's a fantastic writer. And I have to admit, like, my writing, I'm not as regimented as her. Like, she's fantastic at like, every day I'm going to write, and I'm not great about it. But she wrote all the stuff, and I'd always wanted to do a sketch show. So we started doing sketch comedy. But she had actually trained at Columbia College to be a solo performance artist. And she was like, I really want to explore this. I was like, do it. And it was really inspiring to see her do like 2 one-woman shows. And then from there, she was like, let's do stand-up. And I was like, oh my God. So we've been doing stand-up together. Like, she's the creator of the Kates. Like, I help run it now. Well, it's on hiatus now because of, you know, the world. But we would always drive to these gigs, sometimes far away. And we'd always have these like fantastic conversations in the car. Like, we're both exhausted, but we get to her house because we live like right around the corner from each other. And it'd be like, we're in the car for another 20 minutes talking. So one day she was like, what if we took those talks and we, you know, like, turn into a podcast? Because Shaped is all about, you know, we are, you know, we have a great line and I can't remember it because it's been so long, but we're like 2 broken human beings basically who are just trying to, you know, not be broken or not to, or just like embrace our worth and what shaped us, you know, and what made us the people that we are today. So we've had some pretty open conversations about the things that we struggle with on the podcast, but always trying to make light of it. And again, like, I have depression. I'm very open about it. When I first started doing stand-up, I was a little like, because it felt like such a cliche because so many comics were depressed. But also, let's be real, in America, like, people have a lot of preconceived notions about people with mental illness and, you know, counseling, and even like whether or not people are on medication. And it kind of amazes me how many people have like really ignorant thoughts about those things. So we're very open about that. And even in stand-up, I've tried to get better at, you know, just talking about those things. Because I feel like, again, like, when you're seen, it's like representation matters. And I think representation also matters just with mental health and mental illness. And, you know, when you know that somebody is mentally ill, you know, or just even that they have depression, or, you know, like, I think in the world of social media, people can look, you know, you can scroll through these like beautiful influencers, Instagram handles, and just be like, oh my God, I'm a piece of shit. Like, my house doesn't look like that. Like, my makeup doesn't look like that. Like, you know, I don't wear those clothes. But it's all bullshit, you know? So it's all for show. It's not real. So yeah, like, I'm just constantly reminding myself. So that was what Shaped was about. And actually, like, we haven't recorded a new episode in a while because of COVID, but who knows what the future is going to hold. So hopefully, you know, we get back on it because I miss it, you know?
Indeed. And it's so true what you said about Instagram and all the social media posts that people do. And it makes you like feel like, oh man, I wish my life was like that. But it's just only like a little bit of highlights of theirs. And like, if you look at my Instagram, it's just like me posting about my shows, and I'm such a boring person on Instagram. It's just like, here's what it is, you know. It's like but I don't recommend. Well, I'll follow you on Instagram and you'll see what you know, it's just it's my shows. It is what it is.
Say, like, and I feel like I got really into just getting people to vote. So I've been trying to turn my Instagram into more of a like, I love plants as well. So because like Chicago right now is like super, super cold. So I was like, everybody move your plants away from the windows. It's too cold, you know, just like public service announcements. And I try to keep it light, but I have to admit, like, with everything that went on last year with, you know, the election and, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, I was just like, I can't be quiet anymore. So I just like shared, like, please vote, you know, please support just causes. Like, white supremacy is not cool. Like, it's not cool. So I did get political on my account, and I really wrestled with that because I have a voice, I should use it. But also, when you're a comic, I think a lot of people are just like, oh, just keep it funny. But I'm a comic who's like out of work at the moment. So then I was just like, welcome to what I think. So no apologies. I'm going to post that. So I don't know. Yeah, but I feel you, because before my Instagram was just like, come to the show. It's going to be great. And then there's still those people that are like, I've been meaning to come see you. And you're like, oh yeah, you've only had thousands of opportunities. It's no big deal. So if you haven't come by now, like you ain't coming. So whatever.
Indeed, most definitely. And earlier you spoke about your band that played in South Bend, and it's a Beastie Boys tribute band called She's Crafty. It's an all-female Beastie Boys tribute band. And what made you put together the band and join the band and all that good stuff?
Well, okay, so years ago, I was at Lollapalooza with my very good friend Kendra Stevens, and we were doing it was after Lala. We went back to her house and we were playing Rock Band and, drinking and eating and having a great time. And she did Sabotage and she killed it. Like, 'cause she could scream. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then I was like, Sabotage is your karaoke song? Like, my karaoke song is Get It Together. I do all 4 parts. Like, oh my God. And she said, I've always wanted to start an all-female Beastie Boy tribute band. And I was like, did we just start a band? And she was like, we did. But it was almost like a joke. We just talk about it. Fast forward to like a year, I meet Maggie Tomasek in feminine comedy classes through the Lincoln Lodge. And on our very last day, like we kind of talked here and there, but we started talking about music. And her karaoke song was Paul Revere. And I was like, I'm in an all-female Beastie Boy tribute band. Do you want to join? And again, it was just a joke. We would just joke about it. And then we had an opportunity to perform somewhere. And we're like, okay, let's do this. But it fell through, didn't happen. Fast forward to MCA Adam Yauch of the Beastie Boys, and he passed away. And I remember that day I texted them and I was devastated. Like, I just looked up to him so much. I loved the Beastie Boys growing up. Like, I'm a feminist because of the Beastie Boys. Like, they just planted seeds. Like, I was listening to a little bit of Riot Girl, but I didn't understand it. Listening a little bit to the Beastie Boys, I didn't understand it. But then it was like one moment I was like, oh my God, like I get it. And I texted my friends that day and I was like, we have to stop talking about this and we have to do it. And so that summer, we literally would get together and we started working on songs. And because we're all comics, like we were able to ask our friends to let us play at shows. And before we knew it, like we had bars contacting us, like, and then it was like, oh shit, this is real. Like we have to get a DJ. And then we got a DJ Sarah T, and she was awesome. But then she decided she wanted to move to LA. So then we had to get another DJ. And now we have our DJ Energy, Erica Reed. And we've been together for a long time. And like we played Des Moines, South Bend, Chicago, Madison. Like we've kicked butt, taken names. We played Omaha. Like we've had so much fun. And again, it was like not a joke, but like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Like we're a bunch of women and we're rapping and we're in our 40s. You know what I mean? Like what? But it's not a joke. And like we are honoring the Beastie Boys. Actually, like this is a poster of, poster that Adam Yauch's daughter did. You can buy it on the Beastie Boys website. All of the proceeds are going to charity. And then this is this poster. I don't know if you can tell where my hand is. This one is actually our first MCA day where we raised money for cancer charity. And I think we've raised like $10,000 plus. And this particular charity, the Brandon Gramada head and neck cancer, Brandon Gramada had the same cancer that MCA had. And he passed away. And then his family developed this charity that specifically just gives money to research to find out more about head and neck cancer. So it feels really good knowing, like, my grandma died from cancer. Like, it feels really good knowing, like, yeah, I'm having a ton of fun rapping and high kicking on stage with my friends and just having a blast because I love the Beastie Boys. I've been singing these songs since the 90s. So, like, even when I tell friends, like, they're like, oh, like, yeah, that makes sense. Of course you're doing that. But we love the Beastie Boys, and it's awesome to just honor them. And like they've done so much. Like when Hurricane Sandy happened, like Mike D was making food for the community in Rockaway. Like even now, Adam Horowitz Ed Rock is very involved in like Planned Parenthood, and like it's amazing how much like they've given so much to charity, and they don't really talk about it. So it's really inspiring. And yeah, like I just want to know, like, when I die, like I gave, you know what I mean? Like I had fun, like I got to perform, but that, that I help people, you know, like I feel like I have very little control right now, especially with COVID. So it's just nice knowing like, okay, I made some people laugh. We raised some money for some stuff. Cool, you know?
Indeed, most definitely, and it's all about leaving a legacy behind and letting people like remember you and like all the good ways that they can possibly, do. And it's awesome that you're doing what you're doing, and not only are you a tribute band to the BC Boys, but you're doing it with great things attached. So it's awesome.
You're so kind. You're so kind. Because I know, like, definitely some people are like, "What? Like, what?" And we're like, I know what I'm saying. Like, I know somebody at work was like, "I'm sorry, excuse me," and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I do. I rap on the weekends, you know." So I know it's weird. It's weird, but it's a ton of fun. So it's cool.
Most definitely. And you have an album coming out soon. Do you have a title of it, and when is it coming out? Where did it recorded? What's all the details?
I love it. You are wonderful. I recorded it a while ago, and I recorded at the Athenaeum Theater in one of their studios in Chicago. And right now I'm looking for a distributor. So if anybody's watching and they know how to distribute or you want to distribute it, that'd be great. I would prefer to have somebody else do it and not myself, because I know I could just release it on Spotify. Cool. But it'll be called Miss Sumpter If You're Nasty. Hopefully, hashtag Miss Sumpter if you're nasty. But it was a long time in the coming. And I have to admit, like, because of COVID, I kind of like forgot about it and I don't want to deal with it because I don't know about you. I don't know about like other comics, but I haven't really felt funny, you know, like I've just like, I live alone. I've done a lot of puzzles. I feel like a grandmother, you know, just doing jigsaw puzzles all day and watching way too much television. But I had a friend reach out to me and she was like, Amy, it's time. Like, we got to release this. So I was like, okay. So she edited it for me, DJ Energy, Erica Reed. And I am very proud of it. It's definitely like a labor of love. It'll be my first album, but I'm right now, again, I'm looking for a distributor. So if you know of anyone, let me know. Or even if, because I'm in my 40s. I know CDs aren't cool, but it would be really cool to have like a CD of like my stuff. So even if I just had 10 printed, you know, like that would be amazing. But I know it'll be like a digital release. Like I'm not that old, you know, but again, I'm a 90s lady. I still got books. I still got CDs. I still have my cassette tapes. Like, I know I'm old. I get it.
Indeed. Have you looked into like DistroKid?
Yeah. Ooh, no. What was DistroKid?
Yep. It's like $20 a month or something like that, and then it just like goes to Spotify, iTunes, everything all at once for you, and you own all of the rights and everything, and all the masters. It's perfect for you.
Oh, that's amazing! Thank you. Like, yeah. This is the kind of stuff I need. So it's distro, like DISTRO Kid.
Yep, that's the one I recommend. And then if you want like the digital drop cards, I think it's called dropcards.com or something like that, and that's where I released my album on.
Awesome.
I put on lanyards so that way people can like just download it from the lanyard. And like Joe Coy and all those other folks, musicians and comics, do it with the drop cards. So I'll send you those links too. So I'll help you out as much as I can.
Thank you. Like you are like, I'm like, you're getting a Christmas card from me. Thank you. Thank you. This is amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Indeed. Yeah, I made my own album called Sex, Jokes, and Rock and Roll at a pool hall, and like everyone was shooting pool from far away, and everyone was focused on the comedy, and it was like perfectly packed and everything. But it was just like it's fun to burn them yourselves and like create the labels yourselves and like do all that yourself. It's because it's rewarding, and like you make it with love, and like everyone you can just like. I left like the insides blank so I can autograph it for him and stuff. So like it's pretty neat.
That's awesome. Because it's such a labor of love. Yes, because it's like, this is my baby. You know, I'm like, this is like, I've worked so hard on it, and I have to admit, like, this has been in the making for a while. Like, I should have released this album like 5 years ago, and then even when I did finally record it, it was like all these obstacles kept happening, and then COVID happened, and I was just like, this is not a priority anymore. But then a friend of mine, again, like Erica approached me and was like, Amy, it's time. And I was like, okay. So like she even like, she sent it to a really good friend of hers who gave really great notes, and someone who has never seen me she's seen me perform. She's crafty, but she's never seen me perform as a comic. And her notes, like really, like we rearranged how everything flowed. And it was in a way that it, like, I'm sure because I'm going to be, okay, when I do stand up, I just get up and start talking. Like I used to create a set list, but then after a while, like so many of my jokes, like I've been doing for so long that I was like, and then I felt like a sort of freedom. Like if I'm really nervous, if I know that there's like certain things I got to hit, like when I was practicing my album, yeah, I had like a little cheat sheet on the side. Cool. But after a while, like I just stopped making set lists, and I was just like, and then I started rearranging stuff because, you know, I feel like sometimes you get stuck. So then if I was always like putting them in different areas, it felt fresh and I would discover new things. And it was more, it felt more like a conversation than it did like, no, I'm going to do this joke and then I'm going to do that joke. But I have to admit, like, you know, you get into ruts and you start doing the jokes that you know are safe. And I was like, no, I want to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. So yeah. So her rearranging everything was like, but then I was like, Amy, you've been doing this. Like, just do it. So now, thank you. I'm so, you like literally just made my day. Thank you.
You're welcome, indeed. And I loved your album title because it reminds me of Janet Jackson, you know, so it's awesome.
And I feel like today is like National Janet Jackson Day, with it being the Super Bowl, which, by the way, I had no idea today was a Super Bowl. So I'm so sorry. I was like, hey, let's record it today. So sorry.
It's okay. My team's not in it. So it's like, it's
doing like, we are not doing it that day, girl. Like, no, I love it. That's awesome.
And like my teams are the Broncos, the Jets, and the Steelers. So it's just like, it's just, well.
You're like, whatever.
Indeed. And all they don't have, well, the Steelers look good this season for a little while, but the Broncos and the Jets always disappoint me. So it's like, it's no big deal.
I love it. Yeah, I don't know anything about football. So at work, they were like, anybody want to buy squares? I was like, sure. Like, whatever, cool. But I have no idea. I don't even know what time it starts. I'm like, tomorrow I'll look up all the commercials. That's what I'll do. Like, I have no idea. I was just like, whatever. And meanwhile, my best friend is like obsessed, loves it. She's like, Amy, I'll send you a calendar invite. And I was like, I don't need that. You're good.
And Amy, I wanted to go on tour and interview you in person, but because of COVID, it didn't happen. So these are the questions I wanted to ask you. So with that being said, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
Honestly, like, I've always been kind of a weird kid, you know, kind of a weird adult. Like, my day job is at a tech place, and I stick out like a sore thumb because I am not like any of the people there. And like I used to just like lie on the floor and pretend like I was dead, and just to get like a reaction out of my parents. Like, why would I do, like, I wasn't covered in blood. Like, there's nothing wrong with me. It just looked like I was sleeping, but I'd be like, and then just like, wait, like, just, I was a weird kid. So, I think it was when I was in like 7th grade that I realized I was funny. But again, I didn't know what to do with that. So I thought, I was supposed to be an actor. And it wasn't until I started waiting tables and I realized if I made somebody laugh when I was waiting tables, it was like, I could be like an okay waitress, but if I made you laugh, I for sure was going to get at least a 30% tip. And I remember one night working, I was working at this like fancy steakhouse in the city, in Chicago in the early 2000s. And all the other wait staff and even the manager, who was like a horrible human, was like, are you putting on a show on this? Because like it was like a private cubby and everybody was just like laughing and laughing and laughing. And I was like, I think that's when I really was like, oh, I'm funny. Like I could do this. But again, it was like self-doubt. And it wasn't until I met Kelsey and I was doing Second City classes that I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like I can make a career out of this. So, but like I loved, I just took my weirdness, but I loved like Richard Pryor when I was a kid, like, I loved watching him in movies with Gene Wilder. Like I loved like Spaceballs. I loved like the Carol Burnett show. Like I just always loved comedy. And then it was, of course, mimicking what they did and impressions and realizing I was like I'm good at mimicking people. So, yeah, it was just one of those things. I realized like I could make people laugh and I could do it on my own, not by impersonating other people. Because I think a lot of times like kids, like I see it with my nephews and my niece, like they'll impersonate stuff they see on TV. But I'm always like, I never say this, but I'm like, now do something original, So when they start doing the original stuff, I'll be like, yes, like they're going to follow in old Auntie Amy's steps. And I'll be so proud.
Indeed, most definitely. And what was it feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
I did an open mic, and it was, this was like, get ready. I used to drive trolleys downtown in Chicago, and a bunch of other performers worked there. And there was a guy there who was a DJ, and he DJ'd regularly at this bar. And he got the idea to have a comedy night. So I was actually going there to see this guy that I had a crush on because he was the stand-up. And I was like, oh my God, I have such a crush on him. So like I went with him, and soon we all figured out nobody knew a show was about to happen. Like the DJ literally was like, hey, I brought my friends. We're going to do a show. And like, nobody wanted to hear these people. Nobody wanted the music to stop. Like they wanted to dance and drink. And because we knew the DJ, like a bucket of beers got dropped, and I'm sitting there with a friend, and I watched my friend get up there and bomb. And then I watched my crush get up there and bomb. And, like my crush was not funny, and maybe he was, but he like did really bad. And like my crush went away like that night. It was like, no. And then the guy I was sitting with was like, I'm going to go up there. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like these people hated us. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So he got up there, and then it was like, I realized again, it scared me. I was like, I have to do this. So I pounded like 2 beers, like one, like after another. And then I got up there and I just started talking about how my first crush was Eric Estrada. And I could tell that these 3 women were paying attention to me, and like the whole crowd, like people were talking, they were booing, like, it was like, I'm surprised they weren't throwing things at us. Like that's how angry they were. And then I just started talking to the 3 women. And then even when we were leaving, the bouncer kind of like pulled me aside and was like, you were funny. And I was like, oh my God, like this like giant of a man. And like, I'm not a tiny person. Like I'm 6 feet tall. And this man was like 3 of me, like 5 inches taller. He was like, you were funny. Them, not so much. And I was just like, okay, if I can make that guy laugh, I'm doing good. So it took me a couple more years to like do stand-up, because it was a little bit traumatizing. But that's when I realized, like, have you ever done a surprise show? Like you show up to a show and then you realize like no one knows that's in the bar knows that a show's about to happen. I've done a couple of those, and they're not my favorite. And even I feel like even like the greatest comics, like there's always going to be like half the crowd is still going to hate you because you're disrupting the game or fill in the blank. I hate those shows so much. I'm just like, those are the worst.
Indeed. I used to perform at a bowling alley, but they knew that like the bowling alley was, they had comedy shows, but pro wrestling was on the Mondays. And they're like, we just want to watch pro wrestling. We don't want to hear your jokes.
Yeah. And then you just kind of have to, like, you have to accept it. Cause like, think about it. Like as someone, like, we love comedy. And if we went to like a comedy show and then suddenly like the owner of the bar came out and took away the mic, it was like a pro wrestling thing is going to happen instead. I'm sure like some people like who love wrestling would be like, oh, it's awesome. But like, I'd be like, but I came here for comedy, So I'd be upset too. I know one time I went to like a music venue to see like a cover band of like yacht rock music, and that band, like something happened, so they had to cancel. So then it was like country music, and I hate country music, and I wanted to blow my brains out. I was just like, this is my nightmare. I have to get out of here. But I'd come with friends, and I was just like, I need to leave. I need to leave right now. Like country music like physically makes me angry. So I was like, So I get it. You can't switch it up like that.
Indeed, most definitely. And what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
God, I love. I loved Nanette, like, and I loved Hannah Gadsby's, her Douglas, her follow up. And then I love Beth Stelling. Like, she's somebody like who came out of Chicago, and she is so kind. Like, she remembers my name when she sees me. Like, she's just like a kind, hilarious person. Like, she has a special on HBO right now, or HBO Max, and it makes me like cry with laughter. I love it, love it so much. And then yeah, like of course, like now I'm like drawing a blank, but trying to think of who else I've watched that I like. Oh, Nate Bagatz. I don't think I'm saying his name right. Bagatsky. I could watch his comedy special on Netflix, and that was like, I loved it. And trying to think, gosh, again, like when I was younger, I flippin' loved Richard Pryor, and I thought he was so funny, and just I loved him so much. So yeah. And now when I've gone back and revisited it, I was just like, oh man, oof. Like, I can't believe I was like 7 and watching Richard Pryor. Like, not appropriate, but you know, it's the 80s. What you gonna do?
Indeed, most definitely. And some of those folks have been on TV and film, and I want to know what your favorite sitcoms, sketch shows, and comedy films are.
Oh my God. Okay. I love Will Ferrell. I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. I would say I adore Old School. And I also really love God, I'm a big fan of his, because I love how he gets like so angry. And so like Talladega Nights, like that moment when he thinks he's paralyzed, and he like stabs himself on the fork. I think I cry because I'm laughing so hard. But my favorite sitcom is The Office, because I think secretly I would have loved to have been on that show / like written for that show, because they take such specific moments that shouldn't be funny. Like, it should like think about, you know, a shitty day job. Like, it shouldn't be funny, and yet it's brilliant, and I love it. And that was one show that I would just constantly rewatch. And usually that's how I know I'm depressed, is like I just start watching The Office. And I was so upset that they took it off of Netflix, because I can't do another streaming service. I'm just like, I'm done, like no more, you know. But I still have the DVDs, because again, I'm old. I get my DVDs. So, but like there's in one of the earlier episodes, like they're outside playing Desert Island, like, what's your favorite movie? And somebody asked Dwight, and he's like, The Crow. And just the way he says The Crow, it's just so beautiful. So, okay, like favorite movie. Yeah, Will Ferrell, and then The Office. What else though? What was the other part of it?
Sketch shows.
Sketch show. Okay. I really love, well, you know, SNL, like the 90s, loved like the cheerleaders with Will Ferrell, Molly Shannon, superstar. I love when she's like Mary Catherine Gallagher. And yeah, and then also there's that Canadian like sketch show, Baroness Von Ness, I think it's called, and they are flippin' hilarious as well. Like, and also we don't give Canada enough credit. Canadians are magical, and actually Toronto has a fantastic comedy scene that's comparable to Chicago. And I have to admit, I used to be like, ugh, Canada, you know, I don't even know why I felt that way. And then I went up there in like 2015 and I flippin' loved it. And I was like, Canada's amazing. Sorry, I'm like choking.
You're
I think
fine.
it's like it's karma for being so mean to Canada in my early days. But now I'm like, Canada's flipping amazing, and they're hilarious, and I love it. So to Canada.
Indeed. And it's so true about, you know, the streaming services. I don't subscribe to any of them because there's so many out there. And when they moved to the Peacock, the Office did, like, you had to pay a certain amount of money to get more episodes of The Office. And it's so good that that you kept
Yeah.
DVDs. It's just, it's better to watch them on DVD than it is to watch a streaming service, because then you don't have to pay like monthly to watch them. It's like it's there if you want to watch them.
Exactly. And then you also get the deleted scenes. So just watch the deleted scenes. So, and also like that show, just like the stupidest things. Like, again, like I love comedy that's like, let's be real, we're writers. how many times are you watching a TV show or even a movie and you know where the plot's going? Like, you know exactly, like sometimes like my friends will get mad at me because I'm like, oh, I know who the killer is, because it's like, it's so obvious. And like, they don't know, but I'm just like, the writer in me is like connecting the dots ahead of time, like 20 minutes before like the movie or the show ends. But then, but with The Office, like I could never be like, oh, I know where they're going. Because it was always like, you think they're going one way and then they make a sudden left-hand turn, or they just say something so ridiculous, but also like, you know, that person. So it's just so brilliant. Like the writing was so good. And like the performance, like, because I know so many people think like most of it's improvised, but most of it was written like verbatim how it was said. It's just like they found the perfect cast. Also, I always love when a show has normal looking people in it. Like I wish Hollywood would like stop. Like, yes, beautiful people can be funny, but I'm just sick and tired of looking at beautiful people like saying boring lines. Like, let's get some real looking people who are allowed to be weirdos and, you know, broken, because let's be real, like broken human beings are more interesting. So, you know, that's what I want to see.
Same here, same here. And if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, that's crazy. Oh, honestly, like, oh, man, anybody. I'm gonna be real. This Carol Burnett, that would be like, oh my God, Carol Burnett, because she'd have so many stories. And hopefully we could do a sketch together too, because that would be amazing. But like Beth Stelling, just because she's wonderful and so funny. And trying to think, like, dig deep. Gilda Radner, do like a show at Gilda Radner. That would be amazing.
Indeed, most definitely. And if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
I'm sorry, past and present. What?
Which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Oh my God. Well, Kelsey Huff, because, you know, my friend, and she'd be able to roast. But oh man, roasted. Oof, that'd be. Ugh. It would be interesting to get roasted by Jen Kirkman, because she's also very brilliant, and or Soli Santos, just because she's my friend. Laura Hug, because she's my friend. Kelsey Huff, my friend, and then one more person, Carol Burnett. She doesn't know me, but you know, maybe she'll do that like the gorilla noise that she makes, and yeah, that would just be worth it, you know. So roasted, yeah, be awesome.
Most definitely. And where do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
Oof. Well, as soon as COVID is over, I'm really going to challenge myself to, because you know, as a comic, you get asked. Like, I got actually asked to do a lot of like holiday shows, because I think with COVID, people didn't know what to do. But then, of course, you know, if it's a holiday party for a company, like it has to be pretty clean. So I'm trying to, and not that I'm like a super dirty comic, like no, but I would definitely say Miss Sumpter, If You're Nasty, is R-rated. I do want to challenge myself to get like a 30-minute clean, like, you know, something I would probably never record, but just like at, you know, like, oh, you want to hire me for a gig? Boom, I can do whatever. But have it still be fun for me and not too vanilla. But like, you know, like The Office, like, you know, they towed the line of being naughty, but in such a smart way that they got away with it on primetime television. So I think that that's what my goal is yeah. But I know I'll never be completely a clean comic, because I'm a single woman in my 40s who dates. So I'm always going to have a story to tell. So, you know.
Indeed, most definitely. And you've done theater and all that good stuff. And which other forms of comedy would you like to venture off into? You've done sketch too, and like improv, comedy writing, acting, directing, etc.
Mm-hmm. I've done all those things. I actually, okay. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Which other, since you've done all of those things, which other ones would you like to venture off into, like creating a new avenue or whatever, when it comes to comedy?
I actually would love to direct more shows. Like I've directed a few one-woman shows, and then I've even I'll coach people who, just want to get better at public speaking, especially like at their job. And sometimes that's not necessarily like comedy, but let's be real, the workplace can all, there's some workplaces that are very like, and like loosen up the ties, guys. Like let's make this place fun. So yeah, I'd like to do more directing, but also I really miss performing. So I almost feel like when COVID's over, it's just going to be like, also, I really want to do a variety show with a friend where she'll do a lot of character work. And I used to do a lot of characters in my early days of comedy, and I haven't. So I would really like to explore, like bring the old comedy scene like to another level of, like the Neil Hamburger, like it's so fucking weird and I love it. But just taking the variety show and kind of turning it on its head. I would love to do that as well.
Indeed, most definitely. And what is your what is your favorite joke a comic has written?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is really, my friend Kristen Clifford wrote a joke about, because she loves Lifetime movies. So she literally created a Lifetime movie for this particular joke. And I literally quote that joke almost every single day. So not the punchline, but a moment from the joke. And Kristen Clifford, I'm sure it's on YouTube, look up Lifetime movie, and she shows you how you could create your own Lifetime movie, and then she reenacts a Lifetime movie for you that she wrote. And it's so good. It's so good.
Indeed, most definitely. And what experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
Oh man, I just want them to have like a good time, like laugh, but also I feel like the last 4 years have been really hard, and especially like this last year with COVID and just all the fucked up shit that's happened in our country, or even just like people becoming aware of all the fucked up shit. So I feel like when you come to see Amy Sumpter, I want you to leave the theater and feel good about yourself and feel good about, I want you to feel good about yourself, but I also want you to challenge yourself to put better stuff out there, because I think sometimes this is something I struggle with. It's really easy to get bitter and jaded, but to like wake up and be like, I'm not going to be an asshole is, it's hard some days. So yeah, I think if everybody just was yeah. Like on my job, they're always saying assume best intent. So I feel like if everybody assumed best intent and then just felt good about themselves, like the world would be a better place.
Indeed, most definitely. And with our episode today, we're raising funds for the Friendship Center. And why did you choose those fine folks to raise funds for today?
Oh, they are really close in my neighborhood. And with everybody working at home, and I know a lot of people have lost their job, they actually provide food for the community. And it's like no questions asked. Like if you live in the neighborhood, I think some nights they give you a hot meal. And then some days you can just go to pick up groceries. And they even provide, I'm not a pet person because I have allergies and I'm allergic to everything, but there are some days where they also have like pet food. So for people who are really struggling, but you still want to, feed your pet, like they'll help you out. And I know a friend of mine is actually out of work at the moment, and she tried to, they've gotten a lot of love, but of course they can use more love, but they can't hire anybody because of COVID. So, but they definitely need money, and they've done donations for like books, and they've just done really great things for the community. And there was one day I had to run up to my actual job because I'm able to work from home, but I had to go up there to do whatever. And the line leading up to get groceries was like around the corner. And it was really, it was a long, long line, and it was really heartbreaking. So the fact that they were able to help that many people, I was like, again, I just want like it feels good to help people. So if more people can help them out, that'd be great.
Absolutely. And all the information for the Friendship Center is scrolling at the bottom and in the description box below, and as well as Amy's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website, all that good stuff, and her Apple and podcast, all that information. So all that information is below. So subscribe, like, follow, donate, all that good stuff. So Amy, are there any as you were nominated by another comic, so this is like the stand-up speakeasy where it's like a stand-up a secret society of stand-up comics, and it's like the prohibition, the roaring 20s. It's like you got to know somebody to know somebody.
I love
So
it.
how which Chicago comics would you like to see on a future episode of the stand-up speakeasy?
So only one, or can I name like a few?
A few. I'd like to put the entire city on the map with this.
I love it. Okay, Laura Hug, Sully Santos, Kelsey Huff, Alexandra Sarpalis, and God, I know like there's so many people, and I'm like, who should I say? Katie Zane.
Awesome, fantastic. And I'll probably need your help with the spelling of everyone's names, and I'll do my best to spell their names. And if you can help me out, that'd be fantastic. Because sometimes I reach out to the wrong people, and I'm like, whoops. So, you never know who's a comic anymore. There's so many of us out there.
Oh, I know. There's so many of us. It's so like, yeah, so many.
Indeed. And Amy, are there any final words you'd like to give out to the audience watching at home?
Honestly, just like hang in there, everybody. Shit's hard. Wear a mask. Like wear a mask so this shit will end, please.
Absolutely. Indeed. Thank you so much, Amy, for being my guest today, and it means a lot to me. And I'll be in Chicago in October to do a festival, and so I look forward to meeting you. And hopefully the shows are up and running, and I hope to see you perform live. That'd be awesome.
Oh my God, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you
welcome
for having me. This was amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It means the world to me too. And I will see you soon. And for everyone else, we'll see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy. Be well, everyone.